Hello there, the Intellectual Abattoir, episode 19, and we have got joining us on this episode Diane Spencer, a comedian, actress. I always think of her as a comedian. I haven't actually seen any of her actors. I don't have a television, do I? I don't know if I've banged on about that enough, but I am sort of like off grid. But when someone's actually good at stand-up, that's more impressive to me than anything. If it's like, if someone had like a really tight, bulletproof 20-minute club set but cured cancer, I would see them as a comedian first, and that whole curing cancer stuff is just something else in the background. But so I got her on because she is an astrologer studying astrology. We was at a gig a couple of weeks ago. She brought up astrology, asked me when my birthday was. Now, full disclosure, few years ago, and I said this to her at the time. We did have a false start where I forgot to press record on the camera, so we did sort of touch a little bit upon the US election, but I don't think we circled back to it. But so I think I did say to her that she said, "When's your birth sign?" And the old me that's still in there somewhere went, "Oh no!" But then I just told her, and I thought, I'm doing this as a project, and still succumb to close-minded, dismissive, and not even skeptical, cynical maybe is probably a better word. Cynicism. So I told her, and I listened, and I was like, so as she was telling me and showing me this chart on her phone, and she gets the chart up. It's like for those listening, you might want to watch this one. It's quite small on the screen, but I think you can see this astrology chart. As she started describing it, all these other things that I've spoken about freely on here, or not freely, what do you call it, willingly and sort of like happily spoke about. Quantum entanglement makes another appearance. We'll have to get an intellectual abattoir bingo card. Quantum entanglement, particle physics, the double slit experiment, all these things. Egypt, the pyramids, the constellations, the ancients, all these. I was thinking, it's all in there. If everything was created, in the nanosecond after the Big Bang, and we're all made of stardust and celestial bodies that move around, and if they are, I don't know. I'm not. I didn't, and it was fun. And she does a little bit of a reading, describes my character, says some things about me that really did resonate. Not, oh, you're going to meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger and come into money, as we touch upon here. That was a very That was like a very end of the pier, like those little you used to get in the newspaper, didn't you? It would just say, because I'm a Gemini, it would say Gemini, a good time for travelling. It's like, this is more about, looking at where things are, where the planets go. And she does describe it. You have there's the signs of the zodiac, the planets. We talk about loads of other stuff as well. So I think astrology was probably 25% of the conversation. I know that astrology is going to be something that people are going to go, I don't know. I don't know what, I think that, I actually forgot to ask Diane about meeting, you can meet resistance if you have sort of like some beliefs in some certain things. But she's very, very, very good at, very good conversation. We spoke about everything, everywhere it went. And she spoke about all sorts of things. Really funny, good actor. Like her. You're going to like her too. So, so Diane Spencer and astrology. I don't think there's anything else to say. I'm going to do a solo one about the US election. I've got some thoughts, not really about the politics of the election itself, not so much about Republican versus Democrat, but more about media coverage, the death. I don't want to be premature. Certainly the terminal sickness of maybe identity politics, and just how. Well, I don't want to. I'll keep my powder dry. I'll try and keep these to about 5 minutes. These introductions, but So leave a comment, like, subscribe if you think of anything you want me to touch upon. I've got a few interesting guests coming up. I've got one big guest, another big guest from America lined up. They've sort of like potentially agreed to come on. a podcast that I've been listening to for about 2 or 3 years, so that I'm very excited about that. But I've got to say, this is a great episode and a really, really fun conversation with a very, very funny comedian. So, Diane Spencer, let's get into it. And here she is, all the way on the Skype machine. Full disclosure, we were 3 minutes in, and my tech gremlin, forgot to press record. Obviously, I'm a one-man band. It was me. But here she is, Diane Spencer.
Hello again.
Oh,
well,
God.
We were talking about karma, though, weren't we? And we were talking about breaking the cycle.
Yes.
And now we're literally doing something again. We're
That's
repeating
true.
our cycle.
So I don't know if we would be hypocrites to try and repeat it, because we were just saying, we just recently did a gig together that's quite often very, very tough. Diane absolutely roofed it, smashed it. And we were saying that you shouldn't go to a gig judging it on past things, and I said people do that. I'm trying not to do that. Have you ever been guilty of that yourself? Thought like taking stuff forward?
You can't be blamed, I think, for knowing that some gigs do have a rowdy reputation.
Yeah.
There are some gigs where the setup already plays against you, and the particular type of crowd that they like to bring in might be they might be a very boisterous crowd. They might be a crowd that see it more as a panto than a stand-up thing. And I think you can be forgiven for knowing that you're about to walk into somewhere that has historically been a clash. Like it's always been a battle. But I think that you have to go in with a fresh sense of maybe this time,
and I guess vice versa. You could say, "Oh, I love the Comedy Store," but on any given night, there could be 200 arseholes in there. You never. It's just a room, isn't it? You don't know who's in.
It's just a room, and it's however they coalesce as a group.
Yeah.
And maybe how you are, like Lee Hurst. I hope he won't mind me saying this. I'm sure he won't. But Lee Hurst told me that whenever he did the Comedy Store back in the day, he said whenever Phil Jupitus turned up wearing his leather jacket, he knew he was going to have a bad gig, because it meant that he turned up in a particular
combative
state of
or
mind.
something. Yeah.
So every time he saw Phil turn up in his leather jacket, he thought, oh God, no. So
that's funny.
It does matter what you bring.
Yeah, I guess that is true, and I guess some people. My wife's like that. She actually she calls herself a mood dresser. So she'll wake up and see, how do I feel today, and she'll dress for how she feels that day.
Does she ever Does she have certain outfits that you're like, oh, this is a great day, or certain outfits where you go, uh-oh?
Yeah, when I say mood, I mean more like if she's got a lot of work to do and she's going to be very industrious, she'll dress a bit more like if she was going to work. And then if it's like, she changes.
I love it. Dress for success.
Well, it's just for how she feels. Like if she feels like, I suppose everyone does it a bit if you're going to slob around, maybe. But she'll sort of like, I can tell. When I say mood, I don't mean good or bad mood. I just mean what sort of aspect of her personality she wants to bring to the fore. I don't dress like that, but it's interesting. Obviously, Phil Jupitus thought that donning a black leather jacket was quite defensive and maybe a bit of armour, maybe.
Yeah, bit of armour. And maybe also, how sort of as comics, I think that I think all of us sort of meander around different genres. Like there's very, even comics that are known for like one particular thing, like Jimmy Carr is a one-liner merchant. Like I think occasionally he will stray into a story, possibly.
Yeah, started to, hasn't he, his last couple. Yeah.
So I can understand though how sometimes we get a joke that we're like, this is one of those truth bomb jokes.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to go out there and do the social commentary. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit these people with humor and something
substance.
Revelatory.
Yeah.
And so then he thought, right, leather jacket time.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand that.
The edgelord, as they're called now, disparagingly. But it's
what are they called?
Edgelords. When you first start. I don't know. I don't think we sort of crossed paths when I was an open micer. Not like when I first started, but
when did you first start?
2009.
Now you see, like I'd been doing gigs in New Zealand 2007, and I came back here 2009.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So we're roughly the same time, actually.
Yeah. It's just I don't remember seeing you those sort of like awful ones above the pubs in the West End, but there was always the edgelord guy with the long trench coat on that would come and just sort of like say, "So dead babies," like the first thing he says.
like, ugh.
You're not Doug Stanhope, mate. Chill out. But so actually, can I get so I found it quite difficult to, and I found it does have an effect what I wear on stage. For a woman, is that more so? Do you think how you present yourself?
I would say so, definitely. I mean, obviously, when you walk on stage initially, like most of the time, people are chill. It's great, but very occasionally, and I do mean this, they are in the minority. Very occasionally, you'll have just some. You'll either have a dude literally do this.
No, I've
Like
seen it. I've seen it.
Yeah, he'll. For those of you who are only listening, I sort of looked pissed off and folded my arms.
Yeah, passive aggressive. You slipped into super passive aggressive, lean back. This isn't for me.
Yeah,
and that's what they. I've had that in Liverpool actually.
Yeah, but that's because you dared to go to Liverpool, where everybody is funnier than you.
Yeah, exactly. But I think is that the same thing that the man's thinking then?
I guess
That's the myth, isn't it?
I mean, I've literally had a guy stand up and start going to his mates. Right, I'm going to go to the bar. What do you want? What do you want? And I've been like, mate, I've literally like I did a couple of jokes, and I was like, mate, I've been on stage like 1 minute. What are you doing? And he went, well, you're a woman. It's going to be shit. And like he just said it at my face, and so I just I did some kind of put down. It was a very long time ago. I did some kind of put down thing and started slagging him off, and all his mates enjoyed it. And they went, all right, then I'll stay. And I was like, oh yes, because it all has to be about you.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I guess what he's done there is he's gone, oh, this is a different sensibility, but maybe because you came, I'm just guessing, because you came back with banter, it was like, oh, she's a bit like a bloke, which is ridiculous. But is that how small-minded they are?
Well, I guess, yeah, but like I said, minority people, like even if somebody is a bit suspicious, they'll usually sort of delay their judgment, unlike that man. But yeah, wearing stuff on stage, I do like to create a certain look. Like I like to sort of try to support my personality and what I'm like on stage with what I'm wearing. And me wearing something sparkly is always a great start. I like to wear sort of bold colours, and I like everything to be a bit floaty as I move, because I sort of I know right now I probably come across as quite posh, quite because I don't really have an accent. So, but then on stage, I'm even more sort of, oh yes, and then this happened, and then suddenly there was cum everywhere, and whoopsie, you know. And so sort of, I like to add to that, and I do look at American comedians, because I look at the way that that people dressed on stage, and many names are falling out of my head, which is ridiculous. There was obviously Joan Rivers, who wore sort of the furs and things, but there were many other comedians. The way that they dress sort of enhances the whole performance, and I really like that. But that's me personally. I mean,
no, I think it was just occurred to me. I mean, I think of like the big. Excuse me, some of the big American comedian men, it's just black t-shirt, jeans, or a shirt and jeans. And I think that I find it difficult to dress. I sort of have a way I sort of tend to dress on. So I've started wearing shirts a bit more now, just like these sort of slack ones. But I used to wear a black t-shirt because I wanted to be a blank. You want to be a blank canvas, so you can do like you said, sometimes you've got that truth bomb material, sometimes you've got the just silly cum material, whatever, and you don't really want to feel like you dress in a way that makes either of those inauthentic, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that to sort of surprise them if your material is then consistent. But you think about other comics, like you think about obviously again, going back to, oddly enough, people like Jimmy Carr, who wear like the suit all the time. I think it was, even though I hate to quote him now because I don't really, I just don't know what's going on there, and I've never met the man.
So
Russell Brand.
Yeah, can we just say, do you mean Jimmy Carr like he's physically like?
Well, he always looks the same.
Well, he's had a lot of stuff done.
Oh yeah, to his face.
And I don't think, and I shouldn't judge, and I'm trying not to judge, but I think for a man, and again, maybe it's not gendered, but for a man to do that, it doesn't strike me as someone that's particularly happy or secure.
Well, no, not at all. I mean, also, I think about the circles that he would move in. If you're moving in a lot of television circles, if you're having to face up to yourself being on high definition camera all the time, and if you sort of do a lot of work with Catherine Ryan, who has totally embraced cosmetic surgery,
LA style, isn't it? LA culture,
then it's that kind of thing. Like, a lot of people in Hollywood seem to all have the same nose. Like, everybody
it's so
seems
mad.
to have
I watch
identical
films.
nose.
You watch films and you get these people, and you go like, I watched this film and it was is it Holly Hunt or someone, and you're half hour in going, I've got to look at IMDb because I'm not sure if that's her or not. Like, I mean, you look that different. I mean, obviously, Nicole Kidman's done, but and the worst one I saw, because it was on, I saw a clip of YouTube today. He was talking about Trump, Mickey Rourke. I mean, what the fuck, bro? He looks like Aslan. Like, he's
So as a bloke, then you wouldn't even consider it. You're just like, I'm just going to age gracefully.
Never even considered I'm going grey. I've been going grey I've never even considered that.
So you wouldn't dye your hair. You wouldn't have like some kind of crazy badger streak put in.
No, I've got a natural badger streak. I've got two. They look like devil's horns. I quite like them. I don't mind it. I wish there was about a period, or there was a time about a year ago when if I could have paused the temples, I've gone, that's enough now. But it's just, what can you do? But I've said this on here before. I think I'm not superstitious, but obviously as a man, you have to contend with the possibility you could go bald. And I was like, I don't want to anger the hair gods, because I'm not going bald, but I'm going grey. And if I cover up the grey, they might go, oh no, sunshine, we're now going to throw baldness at you. So I'm just going, I'll take the grey, leave me alone.
All right, I get it. Yeah, you don't want to push your luck.
Exactly.
You're trying to find the hairy volcano, and you're going to chuck a chicken in.
No,
like,
I mean, that's the other thing. It's, what do you do? I mean, I know people that have gone to Turkey and had hair transplants, and they look very good, but I just couldn't do it. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's fair enough. I think whatever you choose to do, the main issue that I have, I think if you want to get stuff done, get stuff done. But the main issue I have is, don't try and get it done on the cheap and risk your health. Like, I think if a man wants to get hair transplants, go for it. If it's going to help your mental health, if it's going to help your well-being,
I get it. I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't, for goodness sake, search out the cheapest hair transplant you can. You need to look after yourself. And I obviously, like, there's more of this that has affected women, like women trying to find bargain price surgery and flying to somewhere like Turkey, where, I mean, why would you do that? Because it's not like you can have a follow-up appointment at the hospital once you've flown back if something goes wrong. And I've heard that just look after yourself.
Once you get them teeth done, apparently the NHS, you can't see a dentist here. They won't touch them.
What, like veneers?
I don't know, I guess. It's easy for me to say that. Look, it's easy for me to sit here and say that because I'm so far touched wood. I'm not losing my hair, and my teeth were always quite straight. But and I guess the hair thing, I was just thinking as you were talking, it's not as bad because that's restorative rather than transformative, isn't it? Like, that's just getting your hair put back rather than I'm going to get these massive lips or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I must admit, I had no idea we were going to talk about this.
We'll talk about anything on
it. I must admit, like, I do watch a lot of those videos where they say lip filler's gone wrong. And, because they sort of stretch the skin so much that, well, now, if you don't have a lip filler, you're going to have this, like, weird, saggy,
deflated
face.
Like Joe Camel. Like, but I mean, like I said, I'm not. It's fine, but I just think going back to Jimmy Carter, because he's a comedian.
Oh, right,
and he's high. No, I'm just, because I think it's particularly what I've just realised what it is. What doesn't sit right with me. He's high status, and then if you've had work done, I think it's lowered your status because I can see your insecurities. So
because you can see that he cares about something
too much. And I know he owns it because people heckles him. He's got a bit in his latest shows where he invites people to heckle, and it's always like, you look like a ventriloquist dummy or whatever. But it's like, I don't think you can be the big, I don't know, you can be the high status, aloof, taking everyone down when you look like, oh, I've got a few lines here. I'm going to go get some injections. Personally. Who gives a fuck?
So you think that his
status is lowered?
Vanity has sacrificed part of his artistic integrity. You think
It's not
his act has been damaged by his vanity.
This is the
I
thing.
mean, we all do that.
What I'm saying, like that. Like I said, I'd like to present. I think it's good to present something that matches your material or your persona. And I think a man that's had work done doesn't match a high status persona.
I mean, you could say that he's so high status, he can afford it and he doesn't care. But I can see from your perspective, you're like, no, now I know what to pick on you for.
Yeah, and also, like, you really care what you look like to the point where you look weird. You'd rather look weird than old. That seems to be the decision, doesn't it?
That is the right thing, yeah. Yeah, do you want to look weird or old?
Yeah, I'd rather...
Is being old so bad that you'd rather
No,
look weird?
I've always looked weird as well, so I'm way ahead of the game.
Phyllis Diller, that's one of the names I was trying to come up with.
Yeah.
So if you look up pictures of her, I mean, because, she was doing stand-up decades old, and she just embraced it. She's got like the cigarette, the gloves, the mad hair, and she kind of looks like
cocktail sort of style, cocktail party. Yeah,
but she's like, I don't know how old she is in these photos that I've seen, but she's like at least 60 years old, and she just looks like the really fun granny / aunt that you definitely want to hang out with, because she's kind of there looking all mad with her big jewelry, and you think yes, and then she just delivers all these amazing lines. So yeah, I think it does make a difference. And again, but she looks old and nuts, which is great.
So did who you mentioned, Joan Collins, but she had like visibly early adopter of getting the work done, but that suited her.
Yeah,
she was like this catty old New York, like sort of like social, like bitch sort of persona, and that works. What I'm saying, when you got Jimmy, I don't know. I hope this isn't coming across like I'm slagging him off too much, but it's just, I think we're in the game, and you sort of look for these subtle little things, and probably reading more into it. But when I see him come out of his hair's blacker than it, that's the other thing. Like any bloke, I mean, I walk down the street where I live, and you see a bloke with a wrinkly old face and that jet black hair. It's like, bro, it's too black. Like, it's like a black hole.
Paint chart, bro.
Yeah,
you got to charcoal that up a bit. You've gone for like proper soot. You need.
It's like that sort of like anti-light, sort of like a black hole sucking light in it. So black, but there you go. I don't get it. So anyway, getting back. Anyway, tying that up, I suppose I'm not going to ever do anything, and you can hold me to that.
No, I'm not gonna, because I don't know what is going to happen in life, and I am not gonna say, oh, Justin said this at one point, and now look what he's doing. He's having the lasers on his eyes. I'm not going to do that, because you don't know what's going to happen.
True.
You don't know how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
You might change.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely 100% right. I'm wrong.
That?
I don't know. I was wrong to say that. You're right.
I'm never going to get, if you say I'm never going to get a tattoo, well, I mean, what happens if you reach 60 and you go, do you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
And you just go, I mean, I have genuinely been thinking about I don't have any. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll get one. I've got to get one in a very subtle place, because I like to do acting.
But you look at Tom Hardy and that, they're covered now. The makeup's so quick.
Yeah, but I'd still, just for the sake of the makeup artist, have something in a place that you can't. I don't know.
I've got 4.
But then also, what do you get?
I've got 4. Yeah, that's the thing.
You've got 4? I was thinking of getting my husband's name. Kev.
Yeah. But I got my kids' names here, and then I went through my 2nd or 3rd midlife crisis, and this one's tattoos. I've been through a few.
Can you have a 3rd midlife crisis?
Apparently, or unless.
Or is that not like a tri-life crisis? Or
I mean, maybe like
quarter life.
Because I know we're going to get into astrology in the future. So maybe like when a planet changes, I was going to die at 58, and then it changes to 64, so I get another one. But I'm definitely having more than one midlife crisis.
Well, I tell you something. That is. Yeah, relatable to that, because there's something called progressed astrology, where you sort of see the themes of your life slowly open up. And usually when the sun passes from one zodiac sign to the next under this way of reading the birth chart, that usually is a moment of something happening in the person's life. I've actually got your birth chart up right now.
Right, so I'll just set this up. So we was at this gig, and you asked me when my birthday was, and I told you, and you started talking about astrology.
Yeah.
And this is the full disclosure. A few years ago, I'd have just been like, I'd have rolled my eyes to myself, but I'm completely open to everything lately. I think since COVID, really, the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we don't know. And to say to anyone, so you're gonna do my birth chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to let people know where I'm coming from. So I'm a stand-up comedian and actor. Like that's my trade.
Yeah.
But I have some very mystical friends, and I've always been a bit mystical. I'm big into synchronicity. I sort of see things happening, and I just got this book. I got Astrologer for Dummies.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I started. Great book. And then it sort of blossomed from there. And I just find it really interesting. I'm quite a inquisitive sort of deep dive person. When something grabs me, I want to follow it to a certain level of competency.
Got you.
Yeah. If something doesn't grab me, I can't adhere to it no matter how hard I try. But when something does excite me, then I can deep dive into the whole
same.
sort of...
I'm exactly the same character.
Yeah.
I did it with music. I went, cause I like this band. They were influenced by this band. I went all the way back until you get to Robert
you could
Johnson.
do the whole tree.
Yeah, that's where it starts. Yeah, and you just go, oh, who influenced them? Oh, who influenced the New York Dolls? You know what I mean? I go back, but yeah. So, and the thing was, well, I think that no one can dismiss this stuff out of hand. I mean, people have got beliefs, but you can't. It's when you look at. I've been looking into science recently, last few years, and you look at subatomic physics, and there is this thing, and I've spoken about it before, quantum entanglement, where atoms are entangled, and an atom on the other side of the universe that moves can move an atom on the other side instantly.
Yeah.
So if quantum entanglement is accepted by scientists, the movement of planets and stars could affect other things. That's all I'm going to say. It could. Yeah. On a science basis. That's what I'm saying. Like I did with music, I went all the way back to Robert Johnson. If with science, you go, that's a brick, it's made up of these particles, all the way back, it's fucking weird. The universe is weird, and this is no weirder than anything else. So...
Well, what I thought would be interesting for you and your listeners is there's two things. One of them is I have done a chart for the upcoming Tyson versus Paul boxing match in Arlington in Texas. This is the chart.
Right.
And theoretically, if we look at the chart, I can tell you what the themes of that moment are going to be.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to guarantee telling you who's going to win, but I can tell you what I can see happening.
Yeah.
And the other one is the chart of the Ocean Gate sub-implosion.
Oh, right, the Titan thing.
The Titan submersible that imploded off the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I've got the exact time that happened, and I can tell you what is in that chart. Or we can look at your chart.
We can do all of the above. Let's go with the boxing first then, because that's something that is coming up. So that's...
Yeah. So I thought that would be interesting. Now, first of all, I have to put a massive disclaimer. I am a hobbyist. Mm-hmm. This is for entertainment purposes only. Yeah,
sure, that's what that's the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah.
So if anyone's coming to here for news and facts, you're fucked, mate.
Yeah, please do not take out a mortgage on your house, put it on one of these boxes, and then come and complain to Justin because I was wrong. All right?
Yeah.
So, would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can do. Yep. That'd be work.
Because I've got the fight I've got the fight drawn up. Let me just check I've got the right one. Okay. This is exciting. This is why we use okay, this might be it. Can you see a chart on your screen?
I can.
Right. Okay. So, what we have got here. So this is the fight. Can you see my little pointer?
I can.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So the first thing that struck me about this chart is this is the symbol for Pluto. Okay. Now, the way that these charts work is that you have the zodiac signs on the outside.
Okay. Yep.
And these are not the actual, they're not the actual constellations in the sky because the constellations have moved. This is all mathematics, really. You have the planets as symbolized by these things here. And some of these are invisible points, but most of these are the planets.
Okay.
And then here you have what are known as the houses, which is the areas of sort of life that they affect.
Right, so outside is there's 12. So those that are listening, this is like a circle. It looks like one of those old school, the 360 protractors, really.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you've got 12 signs of the zodiac round the outside. Then you've got
Yep.
like that's like the crust of the pizza.
Yep.
Then the sort of main bulky bit of the cheese of the pizza is the
The topping.
planets and where they are.
Yep.
And then inside that, there's an inner ring, which is humanity, how it's affected on us, sort of things.
It's the areas of life. So it's the
Right.
actual like day-to-day
Yeah.
sort of
Okay. Like love, this sort of thing.
no, more like your house
Oh,
or
right, yeah.
long journeys or your siblings,
Right.
prisons.
Okay.
So looking at this straight away, the first thing that struck me was that Pluto, who is the lord of the underworld, the lord of authority, transformation, permanent transformation, sudden and quick, like literal destruction, death, rebirth, is in the house of death and transformation and inheritance. It basically looks like somebody's either going to die
Oh,
or
shit.
there's going to be it's going to be a life altering moment, like somebody might sustain quite an injury. That was the first thing that struck me,
That's
and I thought,
very
well, that's a
likely,
bit
actually.
grim.
He's 58, any Tyson?
Yeah, and it's opposite. You see this little red line
Yeah.
here? It's opposite Mars, which is obviously combat, it's fight, it's
Yeah.
fire, it's
God of War.
the god of war. Yeah, and that is in Leo, which is like center stage, and it's in the second house, which is value. So what that told me was this fight is going to be of tremendous value, and there's going to be clearly some kind of permanent transformation that's going to affect somebody. If you had this in a birth chart, it might be a sign of an early death. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
grim, right?
No, yeah, but yeah.
Going
I've been
over
worried about Tyson, actually. I'm worried about him.
Well, this might change that because if we move up here, you see this very, very thick line here.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so that's called the medium. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's either medium celli or medium coeli. I don't know.
Right, okay.
But it's basically sort of the high point, and this is how it's perceived by the whole world. Like
Right.
this is your status, your fame. And what I find really interesting is that very close to it is Saturn, and Saturn is maturity. To me, that's the older competitive.
Right,
The more famous out of the two of them is going to be the older competitor.
right.
Now, whether that means that he is
Yeah.
going to have a problem, I don't know. But also on the other side, quite close to it, and in this house, is Neptune, which suggests to me something is going to be. He could realize his biggest dreams. Somebody's biggest dreams are going to be realized, and it's. I do wonder whether Tyson's going to win this.
He could do. It's very. I think this is very likely because if he wins early, it'll be a big punch and he could hurt Jake Paul. But
Yeah.
if it goes on because it's 58, so it probably. I can imagine it's not going to be pretty either way.
No, no, but the it was really interesting that this line was so close to the older competitor.
Right.
It could also suggest that something will be very unclear about the outcome. Now, looking over here in the 11th house, which will be the house of the audience, the hopes and the fears, the well-wishers, the general public, like society watching, we have Uranus, that's how we pronounce it, Justin.
Yes, I know.
And the moon that are very, very close together. So that tells me instantly something security-wise, something very unusual is going to happen. There's going to be a very unusual event that's going to affect a lot of people. Like it's going to shake the foundations of your security. Everybody's going to suddenly feel like, oh my God, my instincts are shaken. Like it's almost like a revolution that starts inside yourself. And the last thing that I really wanted to point out was, again, coming back to this thick line. There's you see this red line here that
Mm-hmm.
goes down to this little guy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
Mercury is all about communication and quick information exchange, and it's in Sagittarius, which is all about worldwide communication, big communication. It's in the 6th house, which is the house of work. But this red line is like a square, and it's squaring with how it impacts the world. So my final sort of summation of that is that there could be issues with the broadcast. There could be like a communication issue. Like I know it's streaming on Netflix, but I feel that there might be a break in the broadcast, which could be the unexpected thing that affects a lot of people.
Do you know what I keep thinking? And this is just me, my imagination running away.
Stop sharing my screen now.
Okay, yeah, my imagination. I'm thinking, is Trump going to go and get shot? That's everything you're saying.
Is he going to the fight?
I don't know. I hope not, because everything's through the prism of, are they going to kill him? That's what I keep thinking.
I mean, you know what? When that happened, the astrology community went nuts, because there was one particular astrologer called Steve Judd who said, I know this sounds weird, guys, all right, and this was literally a day or 2 days before Trump's ear shooting, and that poor man lost his life. And Steve Judd went, a world leader is going to lose their head. One of the world leaders is going to be attacked, and he predicted Trump's assassination attempt. And then afterwards, the astrology community, after the assassination attempt, also went nuts, because they said, well, how did he survive? And they started going into sort of a deep dive of these fixed stars, fixed points in Trump's birth chart, which meant that it was always going to be a near miss. So yeah, in terms of the fight, I'm not sure if there is going to be some kind of major transformation which will be life changing, and it looks like the end of a great plan, if that makes sense.
Shit. I mean, that's the thing. I think with the way the world is at the moment, any large gathering, you think, is there going to be some sort of skullduggery or an attempt at some sort of terrorist things? You know, could be that, because when you were describing it, I was thinking, it could be the boxing, but it also could be that, couldn't it? Because it was such a fucked up time at the moment.
Do you know what that is? A very good way to look at it, to kind of say, well, if something unusual is going to happen, like you have to take from it what resonates with you.
Sure.
So if that's what's resonated with you, and that's how sort of astrology works. Like, I've just put onto it the bare bones of what I know, but telling you now, you've translated it into something else, and then we'll just have to see what happens. And then if any of what we've said has occurred, we'll have to come back and talk about this again.
Definitely. Yeah. Could go, let's hope not, because it's pretty grim, but it could, it could be, say maybe something happened for the better. No, I don't think it does sound like, I'm trying to put a positive spin on this.
I mean, to me, it looks like it's going to be a very defensive fight. It looks like a lot of defending, because one of the points was in the star sign of Cancer, which means that's quite a defensive, protective.
I guess a crab, like a shell.
Yeah, like literally, like claws up, like
exoskeletal.
Kind of. Well, it looks like it might be a lopsided fight.
That could possibly be. So with, do you know the I don't want to put you on the spot. Do you know the kind of origins of astrology? Like, was it Egyptian before that? Do you know what's?
It's I believe it started in Greece, ancient Greece,
right.
And many years ago. It's gone through several iterations. There's also Arabic astrology. There's Indian astrology, like Vedic astrology, and although they use different systems, and they've all developed differently over time, because also our Western astrology, which is based on the Greek system as far as I can tell, that's had several different, like people dispute how to interpret it. What they don't dispute is where the things are,
Yeah.
apart from the houses, the areas of the
Right.
life. Like there's different ways of calculating it. So it is constantly evolving. And that astrologer I mentioned before, Steve Judd, I know he's on YouTube, and I know that he's making some kind of documentary about the origins of astrology. It's one of those things where you read it and you go, oh, that's interesting, and then you forget it.
Yeah, I know.
You go,
I'm like that with
great.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just the reason I brought it up, but you answered it perfectly, is every culture looked to the stars, even if they had, they might have called the different constellations different things and had different houses, like you said. But is it a coincidence that they all, and like I said to you when we was at that gig, that the pyramids are like mirroring Orion, and the Lynx was facing Leo. They went to all that trouble to sort of like earmark where the stars were at certain points when they built that shit, and it's like they wouldn't have done that for no fucking reason.
No.
There's something to it. I think there's something to it, and I think we've forgotten it, or it's been erased on purpose from our consciousness, like with the burning of the Library of Alexandria or something. I think.
Well, I think that obviously being in Egypt, you're going to have some spectacular star reviews. I mean, sort of most nights, although being a ginger person, I really do love cloud cover.
Yeah. You get sunburn on a full moon.
I really do. Although I do love cloud cover, like it makes astrology pretty tough, especially if you live like I do in a suburb of London, which means that you have enough light pollution.
What do you think about this cloud seeding? Because have you seen that NASA cloud factory?
I think that I did hear that because the Moroccans have been cloud seeding, that's what caused the flooding in Spain.
Yeah, and that's also in Dubai, the same thing, wasn't it?
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't done I don't know much about it. So when you say,
like some people just go, "Oh, you're a tinfoil hat person," if you talk about it, right? People just go, "Oh, it doesn't."
I think that's what people are doing.
I saw this clip, and I can send it to you afterwards, and it's Jeremy Clarkson talking about this NASA cloud factory, and it's this massive industrial unit just making clouds, and it just says, it sounds like something I'm making up. It says NASA on it. Like, it's just this big, and it's this noisiest thing. He goes, they had to compulsory purchase all this land in America where it was, and it's like this big noisy thing. It looks like a rocket taking off, and it's like, it's insane, don't it? It's real. It's actually real. But I argue with people that go, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." It's like, no, they make clouds. NASA have got a cloud factory.
But I mean, what is the purpose of making clouds?
To make it rain.
Oh, okay.
But that's what they say. But I had
Spain doesn't want any more rain. They've had enough rain.
This is the thing. They'll talk about climate change and that, but then sort of like, it's not like nefariously fuck with the weather systems. But I had Tony Moresi on, who's a bit more sort of like advanced with his theories than me, and he was saying that there's a school of thought that the sun, solar flares and that, and I guess this is maybe tied in, is a way that the sun communicates or something, and they're blocking something out. They're sort of like covering something up. I don't know about that. I haven't researched that. But all I do know, and I might even put a clip of this in this, Jeremy Clarkson showing, and it was on TV at the time, but they sort of like don't talk about it anymore, this fucking group, cloud factory. With a big, when Batman would have like a thing, the old 60s camp show, and it would say like, the Joker's death machine. It sort of got this big NASA thing on the side. It looks like a joke.
NASA Cloudomatic.
Yeah, it's like that. Cloud 2000, yeah.
Yeah, but the issue there, the major issue there, is this isn't like a little pond. This isn't, I mean, okay, so when I listened to this podcast about dictators, and I believe it was Pol Pot, I could be wrong, he declared war on the sparrows. He said that the sparrows were the issue for China's famine, so the people of China should fight the sparrows, and they had to bang pots and pans to not let sparrows sleep. They had to kill sparrows. They had to eliminate all the birds from China. That was the great communist plan. And because they did that, suddenly there were all these locusts and insects, because they completely unbalanced the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And all the locusts just went, yay, grain. And they ate all the food instead, which caused the death of millions of people. Now, that is one country messing with the ecosystem. If it is a country messing with the climate, of which we all do, we're all under the same umbrella here, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it passes around us all the time. That is slightly worrying, because you think, well, you haven't really tested this. Like, I did a video once on this company that were releasing, I think they were called Oxitec, and they were releasing 750 million mosquitoes into Florida.
Right.
And the reason why they were doing that is because they had genetically modified their mosquitoes so that they could not reproduce. And the idea is that they would mate with the wild population, and the wild population would die out very quickly, because...
You can't just do stuff like that, can you?
Well, they did it, and apparently it was quite successful, and they want to do it again.
But what's going to happen? We don't know. What's, like you were saying, it's like Australia did it with the cane toads, and what you're saying about the sparrows. Okay, that seems fine now, but you don't know the knock-on effect, do you, down the line of removing something from
the ecosystem is there for a reason, and
Yeah.
if we're unbalancing the sky, I'm not sure.
But what? Not just unbalancing the sky down. They're doing all this while they're telling us we can't do anything. It's all climate change is all our fault.
Yeah,
while they're doing
a plastic straw.
Yeah, while they're doing all this. I can't. I hate those paper straws. Do you?
Yeah.
They make my teeth
rubbish.
like go on edge as well. I just don't like having it in my mouth.
No, and a metal straw. Like, I have a straw whenever I drink coffee, because I really care about my teeth.
Yeah, got you.
And I do, like, I've recently got a toothpaste advert, which I'm very pleased about, but I can't drink coffee then, so I have to drink coffee through a straw. If I drink coffee through a metal straw, I burn my lips. It's just plastic straws.
And it's like a weapon. You know, people walking around the streets with their metal straws. So that must be a right buzz, if you care about your teeth, getting a toothpaste advert must be like a man getting a supplement advert. It's like a real endorsement, isn't it?
Mate, I was over the moon. It's like, that is, I mean, it's not, it was such a dream, not even a bucket list.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't, you can't put that on your bucket. Like, to be an actual, like, because I had braces growing up, I had 2 operations on my teeth, I had wonky teeth.
Wow, this is. You know what this is? This is the ugly duckling. The ugly duckling teeth that are now beautiful swans, and you should be proud of them swans in your mouth.
I got a flock of swans. I'm so happy.
But that is a genuine stamp of approval, isn't it?
Well, believe me, I was over the moon. And when I did the very first audition tape, they said, right, we need to have a close up of your teeth, and I thought, damn right you do. And I've never honestly, it was literally
like speculum in your mouth.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, full on just teeth. And then when I went for the follow-up audition, like the recall, which is where they've narrowed it down to like a pool.
Yeah.
I walk in, and I'm not joking, I just walked into this wall of teeth. There were just these women all sat there, and they all just went,
yeah,
like turning around, like everyone's showing their teeth, like, I was like, wow, there's
trying
a
to
lot of teeth in
intimidate
here.
you with their teeth. I've never done anything. I did acting at college, but I never actually went into those sort of like. It's a fucked up thing because everyone's pretending to be really nice, but they're so competitive and trying to get an edge on you, I should imagine.
There are a lot of genuinely nice people, but yeah, there's a higher proportion of assholes than you would like there to be.
Sharp elbows.
I've had people literally elbow me before. I've had people try and psych me out in auditions. I've had people be rude on set, but the funny thing is because I do stand-up, it's just like...
I get 200 people doing this at once, mate. Especially as a woman in Up the Creek or something on a Saturday. They can't get to you.
Nah. It's just like, really? And plus, obviously, we in the comedy world have our fair share of, I'm going to call them desperate nutters,
Yeah.
and people who come in with the whole ego and they're like, get out of the way, losers. Do you know what I mean? And you're
It's
like,
funny. Could have been going about the same time as you said at the start, and it's just cyclical. I just see that they're just different people, but the same. There's that new guy what's doing that. Oh, I've seen all this before. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and they've got that same. It's weird because you're right. It's like a repetitive cycle, this karmic attitude, and you think, yeah, I know where you are, and I know where you're going to go. You're either going to go one of two ways. Either one of the big agents is going to look at your wonky haircut and go, yeah, that's good,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I'm going to see you on all the panel shows and all this, and you'll never have really done any comedy, but you'll become a comedy
Presenter
comedian
sort of
on
thing. Yeah,
television.
yeah.
You know, that's nice. Or yeah, your wonky haircut's not going to cut shit, and bye. I mean, I might see you in 5 years and you'll still be doing the same middle spot, except you'll be angrier.
Yeah. But it does make me laugh. And also I see like little trends come and go, like the sort of we used to call them in like hero posting. Like you get them. I was on my way home from a gig last night, and someone was being racist on the tube, so I sorted them out. You're like, no, you didn't. That didn't happen. Or it's like, if you want, oh, that was a really tough gig, but then a woman came up to me afterwards and said, oh, I've had cancer and I haven't laughed for 10 years, but you've saved my life. It's like, oh my God. Every like 18 months, some new cunt's posting that sketch.
Do you know what? My favourite was The Pure Delusion, and I experienced gaslighting. Like, I wasn't gaslit, but they were attempting to gaslight me. This act, who has now got millions of followers on TikTok, went up, and not only did she go over her time, but she died. And I was the MC, and I'm like her act contained 6 minutes of pterodactyl impressions. And I know it was 6 minutes, so I went, oh my God,
it felt like 15, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm like after the third, I was like, how long is this gonna be? She climbed on a stool, and so I watched that and I thought, oh God. And she was only supposed to do 10. She did like 15, possibly even 16. And she comes off, and I went, okay, everybody, we're gonna go for a break. And everyone's looking at me like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And because when you're the host, they think that you can. They think you've booked the acts.
They think it's your joint, don't they?
They think it's your... Yeah. They think that... Oh, can you call me a taxi, love?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the toilet's blocked. I've had that at the comedy cafe. I was stood at the comedy cafe when it was in Rivendell Street, and this woman go, oh, by the way, the woman's toilet's blocked. And I was just stood there, like, oh, right. This is in the first break. It's like,
well,
do you think...
not go take a dump in there, then?
Yeah, like the MC, you think so little of me. You think when I go get my hand up there and pull a fucking turd out, like... I've got some artistic value.
Yeah, walk on stage with your rubber gloves and your little shit brush. Okay, everybody, I'll bring on the next act. If you've got any gastrointestinal problems, don't use the lady.
Don't use the second from the left. But so she's doing well now, is she?
Oh, on TikTok, yes.
Yeah, that's not real.
She came up to me and she said, "Well, that was amazing, wasn't it?" And I'm like, she's talking about her own act, and she went, "They were laughing so much, they couldn't laugh anymore." Yeah. And I'm like, "No, that was silence, madam." Like, I couldn't believe she was trying to tell me what I just witnessed.
Yeah.
Insane.
But okay, interesting. I love stuff like this. So, was that her trying to do a Jedi mind trick, or did she think she did well? Was she trying to?
Now, I think it was her initial panic turned it into a Jedi mind trick. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I don't think she went, right, fuck, now I've got to go gaslight Diane. I don't think that was her. I think that might have been a statement in her brain, but I don't think
she went into panic mode.
Yeah, I think it was more of a subconscious
reflex
statement.
Almost.
Yeah, in astrology terms, a moon statement, not a sun statement.
Oh, can you explain that then? So the difference between a moon and a sun statement?
So like a sun statement would be consciously going, right, I fucked up here. I'm going to go gaslight the MC.
Mm.
I'm going to make her think I did brilliantly. That would be a sun statement, because it's the hero, it's the consciousness, this is the choice I'm making. A moon statement is your subconscious, it's your instincts, it's also your sort of sense of safety and security. So a moon statement would be more like, oh my god, that went really badly, but maybe they were laughing a lot, and maybe I mean I could talk. Yeah, I'll just go talk to somebody, and yeah, I mean that went fine, great, right? Like, not not an intentional thing, like, but it can still come out in a similar way.
So almost like more of a survival mechanism.
Yeah, you got it.
Yes. Yeah. So but I mean, if that happened to me, I might go over to someone and go, oh, I lost them there, or they're a bit quiet, or I don't think I've never blown smoke up my own arse. Never.
After dying.
yeah, but when it's gone well, I never have either. But you don't go up. I've gone like, oh, they didn't like me. Like I said to you about Liverpool, yeah. I said that to the guy that put me there. I went, that was fucking. He went, oh, they often like it here when you're opening. Don't worry about it. And I thought, oh, I'm glad I said that. But that was just me being. I just went, was that me or was that? And I knew it was quiet. I guess that's not that honest, is it? Because I knew it wasn't me. But I said, was it me or was that a bit quiet? But I knew.
Yeah, but also, but that's because you're self-aware, and that's what I mean. Like, she was exhibiting a huge amount of either delusion or no.
Like it's like a sort of when I say delusion is she thought that went well, or there's the she might a different sort
arrogance.
Of delusion. Yeah, where she's so arrogant she thinks she can tell you how it went.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, so many of these things get misconceived, isn't it? Like, you know, like when someone says, fake it till you make it, or put out positivity, and that's someone that might have heard that sort of thing and just got it so wrong.
Yeah.
It's like not going like, you know, be nice to everyone. It doesn't mean like be a mug, does it? But she's gone like, oh yeah, if you're positive and you put it out there, you get back what you put. She's probably read some Tony Robbins book or something. And she's just come over and just lied to you.
And gone, well, that went amazing, because she's like, I've put that out into the universe, so my next gig will be incredible. And she just goes, but yeah, I haven't seen her on the circuit in a long time, but I do know that she has millions of viewers on TikTok.
I think I might know who you mean.
Yeah, her.
Yeah. So, never had a good word said about her. That's probably why she's doing well on TikTok, because it's all surface, isn't it? You don't get beneath that. But so when you've got into astrology, you're
it's like to pass the time. I like it. It helps you. Do you know what it does? I'll tell you something. You can look at like where the planets are, and you could go, do you know what? Yeah, all right. Yeah, I have been feeling a bit grumpy at home. And do you know what I'm going to do? Right. Well, I know this is going to pass. I know it's going to pass. And what's the way I can cope with it? It also gives you like little ideas, like
and insights. I was going to say, like that interaction you just described, because you know about the sun and the moon, and you just gives you an insight to sort of like decode what's going on. And there could be umpteen ways that different people could decode it. Someone could a psychologist would look into but it's just something, isn't it? It's just something you can do that just like a little companion handbook to life, sort of.
Yeah, and what's really great about it is that, and I like that. I like the idea of companion handbook. I think that's lovely, because it can spur you on a bit. Like a friend of mine, she's sort of having a bit of a career crisis, and I said, well, I'll have a look at your chart. And I had a look at her chart, and her chart actually suggests that. I said, there's a thing here that says that whenever you feel like you're drowning, stop, do it. You need to move towards fire. You've moved out of the watery state. You've got to move towards anything that ignites you, that sparks your interest. Like, and I know that this could sound like a platitude, but it's there in the chart. And I said, you've actually she had a lot of indicators that suggested she needed to find her passion project. And she actually said to me, well, previously, all of the work I've done, I've always wanted my work to be the best thing ever, but I've not actually cared about the thing I've been doing. Like, she's a television producer, and she said, I want my program about, British people to be the best program about British people, but I didn't really like actually care about the topic.
Yeah, and also where is she in that? It's all sort of like putting all of your value and self-worth in a project, like you're saying that you don't even care about.
Yeah, that is a very astute thing to notice. Yeah, and all of her value is tied up in her work, but if she doesn't really care about her work, so it was.
That would follow that she doesn't care about herself to me, or she doesn't deserve to care about herself. She cares more about this thing that she knows she doesn't care about than herself. That's quite.
Yeah. So well, I mean, this is amazing. I think you could be an astrologer. So the chart was actually saying, yeah, you should give it a go. I've got a load of books I can learn. So her chart actually said that it needs to be about her. The focus needs to shift to her.
Yeah, of course.
Like, because the sun was, I believe it was in Leo. It had moved to Leo, like, because they all sort of, obviously they move around. Like when you read a horoscope in a paper, that is a very, very broad stroke, because they're looking at the planets as they are, and they're giving it for, like, it's usually about this big.
Hasn't done you any favours, is it, the astrology community?
No. I mean, not astrology in a paper. Like,
no, that's what I mean. That those little ones in the sun, they haven't done you. And do you know what? Just an analogy. That to astrology is probably comparable to their cartoons are to comedy. Like those little jokes, they used to have the sunspot, and it would be like a little joke. Yeah. That is not like going to watch stand-up. That is the difference. It's just this little rubbish, disposable, bite-sized nugget.
Or like when they do the best joke of the fringe, and it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm super pleased when I see like somebody I know who I know is a really good comic,
they're fucking
and they
written
win it. I'm like, yes.
Have you noticed that there are loads of those now about old jokes?
Yeah.
I think 3 out of the last 4 years, I'm like, I had that at school, and that was a long time ago.
It's a couple of decades old, that one, but there we go.
Yeah.
It's new to somebody.
So your friend did, and are you working with her then? Is that something you can offer, or is that?
Oh yeah. So she and I, funnily enough, we are making a little podcast together while she's on her downtime. But I do expect her to at some point get a new job, which she absolutely loves and has that fire for her, and then I probably won't see her for 9 months.
Yeah, but you think about it, Diane, that's sort of like, I've started trying to do this in small ways. She should throw herself into a project that is hers.
Yeah, that she loves.
Yeah, and with her in it, like, mate, you know, I'm a big believer in that. If you can do something for someone else, you should always ask yourself, could I do this for myself?
She doesn't. She doesn't want to be front.
No, I get that, but
yeah, some people are just the most incredible magicians, and they are shining exactly where they are, which is not.
Yeah.
Which is not facing people. It's doing the incredible work. They are the incredible magicians of the machine.
Yeah, but she should maybe just produce her own stuff, or stuff she wants to produce. I know it's easy to say. I don't know. I haven't walked in her shoes at all. But it's whatever you say about astrology, what you've given her just sounds like really fucking good advice. So does it matter where it comes from? It's just like, that is good advice. Whatever you say. Because what I'm always trying to do is address any sort of skeptics as well. It's like, so if anyone watching this going, you can't argue that was good advice. So what does it matter where it comes from? And
yeah. And do you know what? It's a little journey and it's something very personal. So it feels like you're being cared for as well. Because it's very personal to her. It's her birth chart, her journey. And sometimes that little bit that we all need is just to know that somebody else does care, and that can be enough to sort of just make you pick yourself up and go, actually, yeah, I am gonna do this thing about me. Yeah, all right, yeah.
So since you've dipped your toe, well, you've done more than that into astrology. How has it affected your outlook? Did you find it, like, is it comforting, or what's the word would you say? I don't.
Really useful. I'd say that, because okay, so it's helped me. If somebody says to you a statement, right? If I say to you, okay, Justin, you are an incredibly creative individual, and you do all your best creating. Hang on, I'm going to even look at your birth chart.
Oh yeah, let's get
sheet. I'm going to cheat. That's not you. That's the fight. There we go. Right.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a big life-changing trauma. Oh, that's the fault.
You're going to have a oh my God, you're going to lose a leg. No. So like you are okay. I'm looking at your chart and I say, right, you are an incredibly creative individual. Your need to be unusual conflicts with your values, and you've always been very restrained as a person, but you're a very protective person, you're a very nurturing person, and when you're creative you need to follow certain guidelines, certain rules, and the best way you can be creative is to really be self-analytical. You'll always come up with something unusual and you'll like to deep dive into stuff. So now I've given you a load of statements, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can now take that deck of cards and you can either agree with it and work with it. So I said that you're creative when you are analytical. So you go, all right then, I'm going to be analytical. And you can try it and you can swim into it and you can go, yeah,
permission to be that.
Yeah. Or you could say, I think Di's talking shit, but then at least you've got now
it's out there,
the other path.
Yeah, sure.
And you can take it, you could go no, and you can release that. And so yeah, it's useful in that way because I've used my birth chart and my progressions to kind of work and sort of say, well, why do I do this, and what would be a good thing for me to do? How do I naturally swim very well? Do I swim like a duck? Do I swim like a fish? Because they swim very different ways. So you kind of go, have I been a fish all this time and I've been trying to swim like a duck, like trying to pedal my little fins, when in fact I should be like doing this?
Yeah, because you always try and do the opposite. I find that's been my problem.
Yeah,
like when I was younger, like I was, I've always been quite sort of like stocky and big. But like when I was at university in the 90s and I wanted to look like Jarvis Cocker. So do you know that sort of thing?
Yeah,
I know it's a bit of a tangent, but looking back, you should always just be what you are, but be the best version of what you are. You can't, like that is like the swimming like a fish or a duck, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you saying, oh, you're X, Y, and Z, I felt like, even you just saying that, I felt like I was giving myself permission or a sort of like acceptance of qualities and applying them and going, yeah, she's right, I am like that. I should not try and do the opposite. I should go with it.
Yeah. And you're right. And what you said when you said permission, perfect word. Perfect word. Because your fifth house of creativity, it starts in Virgo, which is a very analytical sign. It's a very intelligent sign. It is the sign of service. It's the sign of giving. It's the sign of gathering lots of information and processing it. And so that's how you create. Also, in your fifth house, you have Pluto, transformation, authority, destroying things, rebuilding yourself, rebuild. It's a brilliant placement for a comedian. You have Uranus, and that is revolution and awakening, being a rebel, being a criminal, being an artist, taking the path less trod. And these are all things that are in your fifth house of creativity and self-expression and how you play. So you can, so now that astrology is giving you that permission, as you said, what can you do with it? Now you take it and you just live it for a couple of weeks and see how you feel.
Yeah, because I guess the alternative when you sort of like sit there and ruminate on your qualities is, why can't I be more like this? Why am I like that? But it's like, if you're someone saying to you, oh, this is why you're like this because of the movement of the planets and this and that, and you're sort of like, oh, I'm not saying, I'm not going to say it like letting myself off the hook, but I've actually I felt, thank you, Diane. I actually felt, I even found that quite. So I felt something when you were saying
like
all that.
A weight lift or something.
And just sort of like I said, the word that came to my head. Yeah, the word that came to my head was permission. Like, yes, like I am like that. I am.
Yeah, you are like that.
Yeah.
So be like that.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is those planets that are in your fifth house are in Libra, which is the sign of, right, initially you think, oh, sign of balance, but it's a sign of artistic execution. It's a sign of grace. It's a sign of, you know, making sure that it looks right, and civilization. But also it could be a sign of imbalance, because where is the best place for a hostage negotiator? In the middle of a siege. So it's like you walking into like those rooms we were describing before, those chaotic comedy rooms, and you bring with you your rebelliousness, your ability to transform, and all that analytical stuff that you've done in the background, and you go in there and you fucking smash it, because you've got that power of creativity in that room.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Gaslight yourself before the Gaslight yourself before the show.
You've given me the confidence to do my new
dinosaur impression.
Yeah, I was going to say, you give me the confidence to do my new pterodactyl bit. I'm going to do it.
Take on a cloud machine.
Yeah, man, I've got to send you that clip. It is insane, because I've said it to a couple of, and this is a little tricksy thing I do, is I say it in a way so it sounds like bollocks. So someone goes, "What are you talking about?" And then I show them. So it's a little bit disingenuous what I do.
Well.
Do you know that trick? Do you ever do that?
Mischievous.
Yeah, I am mischievous. I go, "What about that big NASA cloud machine?" I go, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Yeah, they got a cloud machine." And when they completely dismiss it, then I'll show them. But believe it or not, that has gone so quick. We've done our time. We've done over an hour, Diane.
Woo!
Did you enjoy that?
I really did.
I have to get you back, and I think you should do readings for people. I don't know if you do that online.
I do it like for, I've done it for sort of I've done it for other comedians sometimes when we've got chatting, like not every time, like literally on my desk here. I meant to take it with me when I went to the club. I did a little reading for a comic we know. I sort of printed out his birth chart and sort of just wrote it down. But it's much better to do it face to face, I find. Yeah. No, I just sort of
I can say I'm not just saying it. That has given me a little something. I can feel something different.
Well, tell you what, the thing to do now, because you can always end up like looking at these things. You can get too focused on these things instead of taking the information and using it. So what would be really good for you now is to like keep those keywords of analytical, rebellion, awakening, and like destruction to rebuild, like, and take those ideas and have them as like your keywords for the next, like, I don't know, 2 weeks of writing, just 2 weeks, and just see how you do.
Right, so attributes to keep them at the forefront of the mind. Yeah,
just and then see how you do. See if you can create see what happens when you go into something purposefully thinking I'm this analytical, rebellious creator. I bring balance to situations, or I knock it off balance because I want to.
Just feels like someone pointing in the right direction. That's what it feels like. Yeah. It just feels like a little bit of guidance.
Yeah, but use it. Don't like, it's awful when you sort of, you say to somebody, so this, and they go, neat, and then like a week later they ask you another question and you go, well, did you do anything with the last thing?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, I didn't.
Yeah,
and
they're like, looking for answers, aren't they? Rather than
And it's like, no, you've got to apply it. Like, you can't chat about gym membership and then not go and lift some weights.
Yeah, like that. A PT can say you need to do this exercise, and you don't get stronger until you actually do it. So that's what it feels like. It feels like I've been given a program.
PT.
Yeah.
Astrology PT.
That's what you should do. Boot camp. So where can people find you if you want people to?
Oh, I would love them to visit my YouTube channel. It's got no astrology on it. It's mainly jokes about wanking. So yeah, please just look me up on YouTube, Diane Spencer, comedian, or you can find me. I think Instagram is the best other place. Yeah. Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all the usuals: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I've even got a TikTok I occasionally post.
Yeah, I have as well, but I've been letting it go. But I do urge you, if you see Diane at a club near you, go watch her, because she's very, very funny. I thought you were brilliant the other week.
Well, likewise, mate. We had a lovely gig.
We did, didn't we?
We did well.
Yeah, you did very, very well. And so anyway, thank you so much, Diane, and see you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.